Hey, welcome to This Explainer. You know that Hollywood training montage we've all been sold? You know the one I'm talking about? The hero faces a massive setback, a catchy pop song kicks in, and in roughly 3 minutes, their entire life is completely transformed? Well, real grueling progress looks absolutely nothing like that. If you've ever felt like your own journey to success is taking way too long, or completely lacks that dramatic spark of sudden inspiration, you are exactly where you need to be.
We are basically conditioned to expect success to look like this cinematic explosion of inspiration and confetti. But honestly, the reality of pushing through the long middle of a journey is profoundly unglamorous. It's not a flashy montage, it's an endless string of Tuesdays where just getting dressed feels like a monumental negotiation. It's job rejections, it's deafening silence, and it is the repetitive, entirely unromantic discipline of simply showing up again. Section 1. The Ordinary Abyss, or Marcus Obeys Beginnings.
So let's dive into Marcus's story. He wasn't born remarkable, and there were definitely no silver spoons or head starts here. He was the middle kid of a seamstress and a night shift security guard, growing up in a Rust Belt city where the steel mills had long gone quiet. His very first desk was literally the family kitchen table. He was a high school grad with decent but totally unexceptional grades. His early ambition wasn't to go out and change the world. It was simply to scrape together enough stability so his mother would just stop worrying. And when he finally made it to college, his scholarship barely covered a single semester. So what do you do in that situation? Well, he tried to outwork his reality. To stretch those few dollars he had, Marcus pushed himself to an entirely unsustainable limit. We're talking 18 credits at a time, double shifts on the weekends, all while surviving on a staggering 4 hours of sleep a night. He kept telling himself that 4 hours was enough, but, well, human biology unfortunately disagrees. And because this is reality and not a movie, there was no dramatic, fiery explosion that ended his college career. Instead, the intense pressure just caused him to splinter quietly over time, kind of like old wood. In the winter of his second year, he had to withdraw from 2 courses, then 3. By spring, he had left school entirely. He walked away carrying only a duffel bag and this heavy, unexplainable silence. The kind of silence you really only understand if you felt it yourself. Moving on to Section 2, the philosophy of again, and the grueling job hunt. For the next 3 years of Marcus's life, there was absolutely zero swelling motivational music playing in the background. No coach yelling inspiring quotes, just the grueling reality of calculating exactly how far behind he was compared to his peers. He took a job at a print shop just to survive, and he spent his evenings exhausting himself taking free online coding courses and literally falling asleep at his keyboard. And here's the kicker. All that late-night coding didn't yield some instant Hollywood breakthrough. It took 17 vanished applications, 17 ignored emails, 17 complete dead ends for a junior developer role. It wasn't until his 18th attempt that he finally landed an interview, and eventually a job, at a company he'd never even heard of, for a pretty modest salary. It was incredibly far from a grand arrival. So how did he actually survive those 17 rejections and endless exhausting nights? Well, he took that modestly paid job without a second thought, guided entirely by this deeply unromantic philosophy. He had it written on a single index card taped right above his monitor, and it simply read, "Show up again." Notice that it says absolutely nothing motivational. It's not about believing in yourself or discovering your inner greatness. It was literally just about making sure the day didn't end with nothing happening. Because when you're stuck in that long middle, true progress is just the repetitive, boring act of showing up. It's refusing to quit on the days getting out of bed feels like a monumental negotiation. Why? Because the only day that guarantees nothing happens is the day you don't show up. All right, Section 3, the unglamorous victory and building something real. Marcus spent 2 years absorbing everything he could at that first company. Then he moved on, started building his own things. And by age 31, he actually co-founded a software firm helping small manufacturers digitize. Businesses exactly like the ones that laid off his father's friends. But I want you to compare our societal expectations of success with Marcus's actual reality. His company wasn't a flashy billion-dollar tech unicorn. It wasn't on the cover of glossy magazines. It was a stable 41-person enterprise that paid its employees well and managed to weather 3 economic downturns. Why? Because the long middle had taught Marcus exactly how to make do with less. Because of that long, grueling struggle, finally arriving at stability didn't feel like crossing a triumphant, confetti-filled finish line. For Marcus, success felt a lot like, well, an ordinary Wednesday.
just the quiet, immense astonishment that showing up again had finally become enough.
Which brings us to section 4, the power of showing up and your long middle.
What makes Marcus Obey's story so deeply relevant to us isn't that he overcame superhero-level obstacles. It's actually the exact opposite. He conquered entirely ordinary ones, the exact kind of hurdles that break people every single day. The real materials of success, they're broken semesters, unexplained silences, dozens of agonizing rejections. There are small, unheroic steps taken in the wrong shoes, on the wrong road, in weather literally no one would ever call inspirational. These are the actual building blocks of a meaningful life.
If you are currently right in the middle of your own journey, if that finish line is completely invisible and your starting line feels embarrassingly recent, remember that lives are built from these unglamorous decisions. You have to keep going well past the point where it stops feeling noble. Now, this explainer, it doesn't promise you automatic success. No honest story can. But it does guarantee one thing for sure. The people who finish are almost never the ones who never fell. They are the ones who fell, rested, and then stood up one more time than they sat down.
It's entirely about refusing to quit after those repeated failures. So, as you look at your own path, your own long middle, I'm going to leave you to think about this one final question. What happens when you stand up one more time than you sit down? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Now, go out there and show up